let's move on to the more consensus OT one. That's Joe Alt. I am a sucker for NFL bloodlines. I'm not even going to sit here and try to lie about that. When I see a guy whose dad was an all-pro offensive tackle playing offensive tackle at the college level at a first-round grade, I say this is about as safe as a pick gets. This guy grew up in the locker room. He knows exactly what it takes to play on this level, and he's already shown it at the college level. I just feel like there is so much safety within that. And let alone, you look at the athlete here, you look at a guy who grew up playing quarterback and tight end. He understands the quarterback position to some degree from growing up playing it. That can only help you as a blocker. From the tight end aspect, he understands the full picture of plays and the way that stuff needs to be blocked up for the routes to progress correctly and the way that he needs to create space for his quarterback. Man, this guy's just a freak. 6'7",
Yeah.
the way he moves, the way I think there's room to add mass because I mean he's only at like 310 right now at 6'7". I definitely think there's room for him to add mass to improve that anchor. The anchor is the only concern I have with him. Otherwise, I think he's just about darn perfect.
Yeah, I like Joe Alt a good amount too. I wasn't as high on him, but I see like everything that you've said was like that was obvious on tape. Like the athleticism is incredible. I think there's a lot more projection in Joe Alt's game than Latham, which is why I preferred Latham. But there's a lot to like with Joe Alt. The athleticism is crazy, and he reminds me a lot of. I think you had him compared to Ronnie Stanley in your profile, which I think is a great comparison. But he reminds me a lot of Lane Johnson coming out of Oklahoma like 10 years ago now, because he was also a former tight end who kind of moved to offensive tackle. And just the way like their body types are is that when you look at them, you don't think, oh, this is a 320-pound offensive lineman. They just look like a big tight end. And they move so well and they're so powerful, especially with the Walt's more powerful in the run game. Like you said, he does need to maybe get a little bit stronger, get a little better anchor. One thing I didn't like about him, and again, this is just technique stuff that can be easily coached out. He's relatively new to the position. Yeah. But I thought in pass protection, he was a little passive with his hands and didn't have like a strong punch to really knock guys off balance. Like it was more like he was catching them rather than punching them. But that was, it's not that he doesn't have the length and the strength to do it. It just, something he needs to work on, and that's easily coachable. And like you said, he's got the bloodline, so anything, like I'm sure he's going to be very coachable and develop into a really good offensive lineman.
I noticed some of what you're saying with the hands. I think he is somewhere in between. And like you said, this guy didn't play offensive tackle till he got to Notre Dame. Like that's one of the reasons I'm so impressed with him is how technically sound he already is. There's definitely room to grow, but you shouldn't be able to get that technically sound that quickly. But with his hands, I think he's almost kind of caught in a spot right now based on his tape from this past year of like the fine line between being patient and late, because you want patient hands, but you don't want late hands. And it's a thin line between the two.
Yeah. And you don't want to like have your hands up waiting for someone to get into you. You want to, be you want to initiate that contact. Even if you are patient with it, you still want to be the first person to get the hands on him. And if he just leaves his hands out like this, he's going to get his hands swatted away pretty easily at the NFL level. But like you said, this is his third year playing offensive tackle.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So in a year from now, it would not surprise me at all if he's a top 10 tackle in the NFL. 2 years from now, it would not be surprised me if he's a top 5 offensive tackle, and just so on. The sky's the limit for him.